warehouse smelled of rust and motor oil, a scent Marcus Reed had learned to associate with danger during his 15 years in intelligence work. He pressed his back against the cold metal wall, counting the footsteps echoing through the cavernous space. 3 men approaching from the north entrance, 2 more circling from the east. His earpiece crackled with static where his handler's voice should have been. Something was wrong. The Istanbul operation had been planned for 6 months. Marcus had spent the last 3 weeks embedded with the Crimson Dawn terror cell, playing the role of an arms dealer with flexible morals and deep pockets. Tonight's meeting was supposed to be the end game, recording the exchange between the cell's leadership and their mysterious government contact, gathering enough evidence to expose the entire network. But the men moving through the warehouse weren't walking like terrorists expecting a weapons deal. They moved like hunters who had already cornered their prey. Marcus's hand found the Glock, tucked against his ribs. 5 rounds in the magazine, 1 in the chamber. 6 bullets against 5 men, maybe more waiting outside. The math was simple, but the conclusion was devastating. Someone had sold him out. "Control, this is Lazarus," he whispered into his comm unit, using his operational code name. "The meat is compromised. Requesting immediate extraction. Silence." "Harper, do you copy? This is Lazarus. I need—" The warehouse lights blazed to life, flooding the space with harsh fluorescent glare. Marcus squinted against the sudden brightness, his night vision destroyed. Through the spots dancing in his vision, he saw them. 5 men in tactical gear, weapons raised, forming a perfect kill box around his position. "Hello, Marcus." The voice came from above. Marcus looked up to see a figure on the catwalk, silhouetted against the industrial lighting. David Harper, Deputy Director of Operations, his handler for the past 5 years. The man who had personally recruited him from Special Forces, who had sat at his table for Thanksgiving dinner, who knew every detail of this operation because he had approved every single aspect of it. "David?" Marcus kept his weapon lowered but ready. "What is this?" "The end of a very long game, I'm afraid." Harper's tone carried no emotion, as if he were discussing quarterly reports instead of betrayal. "You've been an excellent asset, Marcus. Truly, but your usefulness has reached its expiration date." The tactical team tightened their circle. Marcus recognized none of them, not agency, not military. Mercenaries, then, Harper's personal death squad. "The terror cell," Marcus said, pieces clicking together in his mind. "You're not investigating them. You're running them." Harper laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Investigating, running, such limiting perspectives. We're reshaping the world, Marcus. Creating the exact amount of chaos necessary to justify the exact amount of control we require. You'd understand if you weren't so bound by your outdated notions of patriotism and duty." Marcus's finger found the trigger guard. "Sarah knows where I am. The entire operation is documented. Sarah Chen thinks you're in Ankara, following a false lead I personally provided." Harper checked his watch. "In approximately 3 minutes, she'll receive a report that you were killed in a terrorist attack on a nightclub there. Tragic loss, hero's funeral. Your mother will receive a flag." The rage that flooded Marcus's system was volcanic, but he channeled it into cold calculation. 5 men, positioned at 2, 4, 6, 9, and 11 o'clock. Harper on the catwalk, 30 feet up, exposed but out of immediate reach. The nearest cover was a stack of shipping containers 20 feet to his left. "Any last words?" Harper asked. Marcus smiled, the expression sharp as a blade. "Just one question. Who else knows? No one. The secret dies with you. Good. Marcus dove left as his hand swept up, the Glock barking twice. The mercenary at 2 o'clock crumpled, his shot going wide. Marcus hit the ground rolling as automatic fire erupted, bullets sparking off the concrete where he'd been standing. He came up behind a forklift, already moving, using the vehicle's bulk as a shield. Return fire punched through the metal, showering him with paint chips and rust. Marcus counted muzzle flashes, tracking positions. The mercenaries were good, but they were expecting a trapped rat, not a wounded wolf. The Glock spoke again, 3 precise shots. Another merc down, clutching his throat. Marcus sprinted for the containers, diving behind them as rounds chased his shadow. His shoulder erupted in fire as a bullet caught him, spinning him against the metal. Blood soaked through his jacket, hot and sticky. 3 men left, plus Harper. 3 bullets remaining. Marcus heard them advancing, coordinating their approach. Professional, methodical, certain of their victory. He pressed his hand against the wound, feeling the blood pulse between his fingers with each heartbeat. The math had changed. He was dying, would be dead in minutes from blood loss alone. But dead men had nothing left to lose. Marcus erupted from the grave, like something out of a nightmare, dirt cascading from his shoulders, his lungs burning for air. The taste of earth filled his mouth, gritty and metallic with his own blood. Above him, stars wheeled in the Turkish night, indifferent to his resurrection. He had been buried shallow. Harper's final insult. Not deep enough to ensure death, just deep enough to make him suffer. The mercenaries had dumped him here after the warehouse, after he'd used his last 3 bullets to create enough chaos to escape into the Istanbul streets. He'd made it 4 blocks before blood loss dropped him in an alley, where Harper's cleanup crew had found him. They'd checked for a pulse, found none. Marcus had learned that trick in Syria, slowing his heartbeat to near nothing, playing dead while his body screamed for oxygen. The bullet wound in his shoulder had actually helped, sending him into shock, making the performance convincing. Now, 3 days later, according to the date on a discarded newspaper nearby, he dragged himself from the makeshift grave and assessed the damage. The shoulder wound had clotted, infection already setting in. His face felt wrong, swollen, split. His fingers found dried blood, cuts that would scar. When he finally found a broken mirror in an abandoned gas station, he barely recognized the ghost staring back. Good. Dead men shouldn't look like themselves. For 6 months, Marcus lived in the shadows of Eastern Europe, moving through the underworld's forgotten corners. He became a phantom, surviving on skills the agency never knew he possessed. Pickpocketing, identity theft, the kind of street-level criminality that intelligence officers pretended to be above. He grew a beard, let his hair go wild, learned to walk with a limp that changed his entire profile. But he wasn't just surviving. He was hunting. Every stolen laptop, every hacked email account, every conversation overheard in the back rooms of Serbian bars, it all painted a picture. Harper wasn't working alone. The conspiracy went deeper, a cancer that had metastasized through multiple intelligence agencies. Someone was orchestrating a massive operation, using terror cells as chess pieces in a game Marcus was only beginning to understand. The breakthrough came in a Prague internet cafe. Buried in encrypted files he'd lifted from a dead drop meant for Harper. Black Friday. America's biggest shopping day. Coordinated attacks on 12 major shopping centers across the country. Thousands would die, and in the chaos that followed, emergency powers would be enacted, surveillance would expand, and those behind it would seize control of the narrative. and the nation. The attack was planned for November 29th. Today was November 27th. 48 hours to stop a massacre, and Marcus Reed was supposed to be dead. He needed help, but trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. Everyone who knew him thought he was dead. Everyone except... Sarah Chen answered her encrypted phone on the third ring. This line is supposed to be secure. Nothing's secure anymore, Sarah. Silence. Then, barely a whisper. Marcus, don't say my name. Don't react. Just listen. He could picture her in her Georgetown apartment, probably working late, always working late. I need you to check something, quietly. Harper's financial records, going back 2 years. Look for patterns, offshore accounts, anything connecting to... You're supposed to be dead. I went to your funeral. I watched them put a flag on an empty coffin. Sarah, please. 6 months, Marcus. 6 months I've been... She stopped herself. When she spoke again, her voice was controlled, analytical. Where are you? That doesn't matter. What matters is Black Friday. Harper's part of something bigger, and they're going to... A sound made him freeze. Footsteps outside the abandoned factory he'd been using as a safe house. Measured, deliberate, professional. Sarah, I have to go. Marcus, wait. He destroyed the phone, scattering the pieces. The footsteps had stopped, but the silence was worse. They knew he was here. Somehow, impossibly, they'd found him. The window exploded inward as a figure crashed through, all black tactical gear, no insignia, moving with inhuman precision. Marcus rolled behind a rusted conveyor belt as bullets sparked off the metal. The ghost. He'd heard whispers in the underworld about Harper's personal enforcer, a killer who never spoke, never stopped, never failed. Marcus grabbed a piece of rebar, his only weapon. The ghost advanced, footsteps eerily silent now. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat, feel the old wound in his shoulder throb. He was fighting Harper's best assassin with a piece of scrap metal and a body held together by rage and stubborn will. The ghost rounded the corner, weapon raised. Marcus swung the rebar, catching the gun, sending it spinning into darkness. They collided, a brutal dance of close-quarters combat. The ghost was younger, stronger, better equipped. But Marcus had something his opponent didn't. Marcus Reed had already died once. He had nothing left to fear. The fight ended with the ghost unconscious and Marcus bleeding from 3 new wounds. He stumbled into the Prague night, knowing Sarah would investigate, knowing Harper would realize his secret was out, knowing the clock was ticking toward Black Friday. 47 hours remained. The ghost of Marcus Reed had work to do. The Chicago safe house Sarah had arranged was a foreclosed brownstone in Pilsen, forgotten by banks and invisible to satellites. Marcus stood in its empty kitchen, studying the documents she'd smuggled out of Langley while Sarah paced behind him, her reflection ghost-like in the dark windows. Harper's been moving money for 18 months, she said, pointing to the financial records spread across the counter. Shell companies, cryptocurrency, dark web transactions. But look at the pattern. Every major transfer corresponds with a terror incident somewhere in the world. Marcus traced the connections with a scarred finger. Mumbai, Berlin, Jakarta. Each attack had been preceded by Harper's financial footprints. He's not just selling secrets. He's orchestrating the attacks themselves. It gets worse. Sarah pulled up encrypted files on her laptop. 3 days ago, Harper had a visitor. Off the books, no official record. But security footage caught this. The grainy image showed Harper with an older man, silver-haired, walking with military precision despite his age. Marcus's blood turned to ice. He knew that walk, that posture, even after 15 years. Victor Kruger, Marcus whispered. Your old mentor from Special Forces? He's been dead for 7 years. I was at his funeral. Marcus's mind raced, pieces clicking together with horrible clarity. He trained me, Sarah. Everything I know about psychological warfare, about becoming someone else, about surviving when you shouldn't. He taught me. The laptop chimed. Sarah's face went pale as she read the alert. Marcus, we have a problem. There's been a security breach at Langley. Someone accessed my terminal remotely. They know I've been digging. Before Marcus could respond, his burner phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. La Pescadora. Midnight. Come alone, or Black Friday happens early. La Pescadora was a Mexican restaurant in Little Village, closed for renovations. The kind of place where conversations disappeared into peeling wallpaper and nobody asked questions. Marcus arrived at 11:45. Every nerve screaming danger. Elena Vasquez sat in the back booth, a vision in designer clothes that belonged in Lincoln Park, not this forgotten corner of Chicago. Her beauty was weaponized, deliberate, from the calculated casualness of her dark hair to the precise shade of red on her lips. A Glock rested beside her wine glass. Marcus Reed, she said, accent deliberately ambiguous. The ghost everyone's hunting. You look terrible. Death doesn't agree with me. He sat across from her, hands visible, noting exits, counting footsteps from the kitchen. You're running with Crimson Dawn, also running Harper's errands, also running your own game. That's a dangerous juggling act. She smiled, sharp as broken glass. Says the dead man trying to stop an unstoppable attack. I have information you need. You have skills I require. Perhaps we can help each other. The last person who offered to help me put me in a shallow grave. Harper's a fool. Victor, however. She leaned forward. He's the real architect. Harper thinks he's in charge, but he's just another puppet. Victor's been planning this for 20 years, Marcus. Since before he trained you. Since before he faked his death. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. Victor had always talked about the necessity of chaos, about how real change required burning down the old world. Marcus had thought it was philosophical rambling from a war-tired soldier. He'd been wrong. The terror cells, Marcus said. Victor's not working with them. He created them. Crimson Dawn, Black September Redux, the Liberty Front. They're all his. Different names, same network. And in 36 hours, they're going to turn Black Friday into America's bloodiest day. Elena slid a flash drive across the table. Locations, times, personnel. Everything you need to stop it. What's your price? Victor trusts me because he thinks I'm driven by greed. But money means nothing if the world burns. I want out, clean, with a new identity even God couldn't crack. You still have contacts who can make that happen. Marcus pocketed the drive. If this is a setup, it's not. But Harper knows you're in Chicago. He's mobilizing everyone. And the ghost? She stood, gathering her coat. He's already here. Hunting you. Hunting your friend Sarah. The temperature in Marcus's blood dropped. Sarah's secure. I made sure. Harper's her boss, Marcus. He has her home address, her mother's address, her gym schedule. She's not secure. She's bait. Marcus was already moving when the restaurant's front window exploded. The ghost stood in the shower of glass, weapon raised. Elena dove left as Marcus went right, the table between them erupting in splinters. Go! Elena shouted, returning fire. Save your friend. I'll handle this. Marcus ran into the Chicago night, Elena's gunfire echoing behind him. Sarah was 17 minutes away. Harper knew Marcus would come for her. It was a trap, obvious and inevitable. But dead men had nothing to lose except the living they'd left behind. Sarah's apartment building stood dark against the Chicago skyline, too dark. Marcus counted 3 units without lights that should have been occupied at this hour. They'd evacuated the building. This wasn't just a trap. It was a stage, and Harper wanted an audience for the performance. Marcus entered through the parking garage, avoiding the obvious routes. Every shadow could hide the ghost. Every doorway could be Harper's kill zone. But Sarah was somewhere in this concrete maze, and the clock showed 35 hours until Black Friday. He found her on the 7th floor, tied to a chair in her own living room. Harper sat across from her, casual as a dinner guest, cleaning his Sig Sauer. Behind him, a laptop displayed a countdown timer, 34, 47, 23. "Right on schedule," Harper said without looking up. "Victor said you'd come. Said you never could resist playing hero." Marcus stepped into the room, hands visible but ready. "Let her go, David. This is between us. Nothing's between us anymore, Marcus. You're dead, remember?" Harper stood, weapon loose in his hand. "Do you know why Victor chose you? Out of all his students, all his protégés?" Sarah's eyes met Marcus's, wide with fear but also trying to communicate something. Her fingers, barely visible, were tapping against the chair. Morse code. TRAPUP. "Because you were broken," Harper continued. "Afghanistan broke you. That village, those children you couldn't save. Victor saw it immediately, the guilt eating you alive, the need for redemption, perfect clay for molding." Marcus kept his breathing steady, but the memories crashed over him. The mission that had gone wrong, 23 civilians dead because of bad intelligence he'd provided. Victor had recruited him 2 months later. "He trained you to be his perfect weapon," Harper said, "then staged his death so you'd never suspect. Every mission you ran, every terrorist you stopped, you were pruning his garden, removing the weeds so his chosen flowers could bloom." "You're lying." "Am I?" A new voice came from the doorway. Victor Kruger entered, older but unmistakably alive, moving with the same predatory grace Marcus remembered. "Hello, son." The word hit Marcus like a physical blow. Victor had always called him that during training, the father figure Marcus had desperately needed after Afghanistan. Now the term felt like poison. 7 years, Marcus said. 7 years I mourned you. And in those 7 years, you became exactly what I needed. My ghost in the machine, invisible, unquestionable, trusted completely. Victor moved to the window, looking out at the city. "Do you know what's wrong with America, Marcus? It's grown soft, complacent. It needs trauma to evolve, chaos to remember its strength. Thousands will die. Millions died to build this nation. What's a few thousand more to save it?" Victor turned back, and Marcus saw the madness there, carefully controlled but absolute. The attacks will happen. The emergency powers will be enacted. And from the ashes, we'll build something pure, something worthy. Sarah's tapping intensified. Marcus risked a glance up. The ceiling vent was loose, recently disturbed. "But first," Victor said, drawing a knife, "we need to cut away the last of my mistakes." "You should have stayed dead, Marcus." The vent exploded downward as Elena dropped through, guns blazing. Harper went down first, shoulder blooming red. Victor rolled behind the couch as Marcus dove for Sarah, cutting her bonds with Harper's dropped blade. The drive was a fake. Elena shouted over the gunfire. The real locations are on Victor's laptop. I needed you to draw them out. Victor emerged from cover, moving with inhuman speed. His knife caught Elena's arm, sending her weapon spinning. They collided in a brutal dance Marcus knew too well. Victor's signature close combat style, the one he'd taught Marcus. Go! Sarah grabbed the laptop. Stop the attacks. I'll get this to the authorities. Marcus wanted to argue, but the timer showed 34:31:08. He turned to Victor, who had Elena pinned, knife raised. You want me, Victor? Come get me. Victor's head snapped up, and in that moment of distraction, Elena drove her knee into his ribs. She rolled free, clutching her wounded arm. Marcus, the ghost is coming. Harper called him before you arrived. As if summoned, the ghost appeared in the doorway, silent as death itself. Marcus faced him, understanding flooding through him. The ghost moved like Victor trained them to move, fought like Marcus fought. Who are you? Marcus demanded. The ghost reached up, pulling off his tactical mask. The face underneath was young, scarred, familiar in its bone structure. Marcus's younger brother, the brother who'd supposedly died in a car accident 3 years ago. Hello, Marcus, his brother said, voice rusty from disuse. Victor saved me, gave me purpose, gave me the truth about you. The room erupted in chaos. Brother against brother, Sarah running with the laptop, Elena fighting through her injuries, and Victor laughing. The sound of a man watching his masterpiece unfold. The countdown continued. 34, 28, 41. The Chicago streets blurred past as Marcus pursued his brother through the pre-dawn darkness. 20 years of shared history, 3 years of believing him dead, and now this. Nathan Reed transformed into Victor's perfect weapon. The ghost who never spoke because silence was all he had left. Nathan, stop! Marcus vaulted over a chain-link fence, following his brother into an abandoned rail yard. Victor lied to you. He's using you. Nathan spun, firing twice. Marcus dove behind a rusted boxcar as bullets sparked off metal. He told me the truth. Nathan's voice came, raw from disuse. About Afghanistan. About the children you killed. I didn't kill them. Bad intelligence. Your intelligence. Nathan emerged from cover, moving with Victor's taught precision. 23 dead because you trusted the wrong source. And you never told me. Your own brother. They circled each other in the maze of abandoned trains, 2 shadows trained by the same master. Marcus could see Victor's influence in every movement, every tactical choice. His little brother had been rebuilt into something lethal and empty. The car accident, Marcus said, pieces clicking together. Victor staged it. He saved me from the wreck you caused by keeping secrets. Nathan's laugh was bitter. Trained me to be better than you, to never fail like you failed. Elena's voice crackled through Marcus's earpiece. She'd patched into their old frequency. Marcus, I've got the real locations. 12 malls, but they're decoys. The actual target is bigger. How much bigger? The Macy's parade in New York. Every Black Friday starts with it, broadcast nationwide. One attack there equals 12 mall attacks in psychological impact. Victor's not just creating chaos. He's scripting America's trauma. Nathan attacked while Marcus was distracted, a knife materializing in his hand. They crashed together, years of training meeting in violent harmony. Marcus caught Nathan's wrist, but his brother's strength was surprising, enhanced by whatever Victor had done during those 3 missing years. Sarah's already moving, Elena continued. FBI's mobilizing, but Harper destroyed their coordination before you shot him. They're operating blind. Nathan's knee caught Marcus's ribs. Marcus rolled with it, using momentum to throw his brother over his shoulder. Nathan landed cat-like, already moving, already attacking. "You can't stop it," Nathan said. "Victor has believers everywhere, sleepers who've been waiting years for this moment. You kill one, 10 more activate. Then I'll stop Victor." "You?" Nathan laughed again, that broken sound. "You couldn't even save me." The words cut deeper than any blade. Marcus remembered the call about Nathan's accident, the closed casket funeral, their mother's tears. All of it orchestrated by Victor, who had watched Marcus grieve while training Nathan in secret. "Timer shows 18 hours, Elena cut in, but Victor's moving up the timeline. He knows we're onto him." Nathan struck again, faster now, desperate. Marcus caught the knife between his palms, a move Victor had taught them both. For a moment, they were frozen, brothers staring at each other across 3 years of lies. "He told me you were weak," Nathan whispered. "That family made you weak." "Family is the only thing that makes any of this worth fighting for." Marcus headbutted his brother, grabbed him as he staggered, and held him close. Not a fighting hold, an embrace. Nathan struggled, then went still. "I mourned you," Marcus said into his brother's ear. "Every day for 3 years. And I'll save you now, even if you hate me for it." Nathan's response was a knife to Marcus's side, shallow but effective. Marcus released him, stumbling back. Nathan stood there, blood on the blade, tears on his face. The first emotion beyond rage he'd shown. "You can't save everyone, Marcus. That's what makes you weak." But he didn't pursue the attack. Instead, Nathan backed away, melting into the shadows. "Victor's at the old Kruger Industries building, top floor. He's waiting for you." "Nathan, 17 hours, brother. Choose wisely." Then he was gone, leaving Marcus bleeding in the rail yard as the sun began to rise over Chicago. Elena was already en route. Sarah was warning the authorities. And somewhere in New York, thousands of people were preparing to watch a parade that might become a massacre. Marcus pressed his hand to the wound, feeling the blood seep between his fingers. Not fatal, Nathan had held back. There was still something human in the ghost, something that remembered brotherhood beneath Victor's programming. His phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number, but Marcus recognized the syntax, the formal precision. Victor. "The board is set. The pieces are moving. Come alone, or the parade burns early. You have 1 hour." Attached was a photo, explosive devices being loaded onto parade floats, each one bearing Victor's signature design. The timer in the corner showed not 17 hours, but 1. Marcus started running. The final confrontation was coming, and this time, only one ghost would survive. The Kruger Industries building stabbed into the Chicago skyline like an accusation, 40 floors of black glass and steel. Marcus entered through the loading dock, his brother's blood still on his hands, Victor's deadline burning in his mind. 53 minutes to stop a massacre. The elevator ride to the top floor felt like ascending to judgment. Every floor that passed was another memory. Victor teaching him to shoot, to fight, to think 10 moves ahead. Victor at his wedding, toasting to the future. Victor's funeral, Marcus carrying the coffin that held nothing but sand and lies. The penthouse doors opened to reveal Victor's command center. Screens showing the Macy's parade route, weather patterns, crowd density projections. And in the center, Victor himself, standing before a wall of mirrors that fractured his image into 1,000 possibilities. "You came alone," Victor said without turning. Good. This should remain in the family. We're not family, aren't we? I made you, Marcus. Every skill, every instinct, every survival mechanism, all my gifts. Victor finally turned, and Marcus saw the detonator in his hand. Even your guilt over Afghanistan. I arranged that intelligence failure. The words hit like bullets. 23 people died. 23 people created you. Their sacrifice gave birth to the perfect operative, broken enough to be rebuilt, strong enough to survive the process. Victor gestured to the screens. Just as today's sacrifice will give birth to a stronger America. You're insane. I'm necessary. Every generation needs its trauma to define it. Pearl Harbor, September 11th, and now Black Friday. From chaos comes order. From fear comes unity. Victor checked his watch. 48 minutes. The parade floats are in position. 3 million viewers watching live, families gathered around televisions, children waiting for Santa. Perfect conditions for maximum psychological impact. Marcus moved slowly, circling toward the screens. Sarah's already warned them. FBI, NYPD, they're evacuating. 17 floats, Marcus. They might find 5, maybe 6. The rest will detonate. Victor's thumb hovered over the detonator. Unless what? You take my place. Victor's smile was paternal, poisonous. I'm old, Marcus. This was always meant to be your inheritance. Join me, and I'll call off the attack. Refuse, and America burns. The offer hung between them like a blade worm. Marcus thought of Nathan, broken and rebuilt. Of Sarah, risking everything to trust him. Of Elena, playing all sides to survive. Of thousands of families about to be destroyed. You know what your problem is, Victor? Marcus stepped closer. You think trauma makes people stronger. But you're wrong. Love does. Connection does. The very things you tried to burn out of me. Victor's finger moved to the detonator. Marcus was already moving, years of training compressed into one perfect moment. The device flew from Victor's hand as they collided, crashing through the command center. They fought with the fury of father and son, mentor and student, creator and creation. Victor was older, but still lethal. Each move calculated for maximum damage. Marcus was wounded, exhausted, but driven by something Victor had never understood. Not guilt, not duty, but love for the people he was protecting. They crashed into the mirror wall, glass shattering around them. In the fractured reflections, Marcus saw not one fight, but dozens. All the battles he'd fought, all the ghosts he'd carried. And in that moment of distraction, Victor struck, a hidden knife finding Marcus's shoulder. You always were too sentimental, Victor said, pressing his advantage. But Marcus smiled, blood on his teeth. Dead men tell no tales, but they hear everything. Behind Victor, Nathan emerged from the shadows. The ghost, silent as always, but his eyes were clear for the first time in years. He held the detonator. Nathan? Victor turned, confident. Kill him. Complete your training. Nathan looked at Marcus, then at Victor. He already did. The knife flew from Nathan's hand, finding Victor's heart with surgical precision. The old man staggered, disbelief replacing certainty. He fell to his knees among the broken mirrors, seeing his empire fracture with his reflection. The student becomes the master, Victor whispered, almost proud. Then darkness took him. Marcus caught the detonator as Nathan disabled it with practiced efficiency. On the screens, the parade continued undisturbed. Sarah's voice crackled through the command center's speakers. All devices located and neutralized. The threat is over. The brothers stood among the wreckage, two ghosts in a graveyard of mirrors. Nathan spoke first. I remembered something during our fight. You used to read to me when I had nightmares. After Dad died, when Mom was working nights, you'd stay up with me until I fell asleep. You were 7, Marcus said. Scared of the dark. I'm still scared of the dark, just better at hiding it. Nathan looked at Victor's body. He's right about one thing. Trauma does change you. But maybe we get to choose how. Sirens wailed in the distance. Soon the building would swarm with agents, questions, paperwork that would resurrect Marcus Reed officially. But for now, in the space between heartbeats, two brothers stood together among the ruins of their father figure's madness. So what now? Nathan asked. Marcus looked out at Chicago, where families were sitting down to Thanksgiving dinner, unaware of how close they'd come to tragedy. Now we disappear. Both of us. The Reed brothers died, one 3 years ago, one today. But maybe 2 new men can find their way home. Nathan almost smiled. Dead men walking? Something like that. They left together, 2 ghosts finally free to haunt a better future.